the lane. 15-10. Touchdown, Chargers. What's up, guys? We are back with a brand new episode of Chargers Weekly. As always, joined by Matt Money Smith. Chargers in the midst of a 3-game losing streak after dropping one on Sunday night to the Ravens 20-10. And Buddy, I feel like we're a broken record these last 3 weeks in terms of the late game execution and the inability to win games that they absolutely could have won. This was another one.
Sure. And I think that's, as my voice cracks, I think that's, the most frustrating part, not just for fans, but no doubt the players and the coaches and the front office and ownership and everybody, is that you're not getting blown off the field. You're in position to win the games, whether you win it on defense, that's the best defensive performance we've seen since Miami last year. I know they didn't have Mark Andrews, but it's still one of the best rushing attacks in the league. It's one of the best overall offenses. They have explosive receivers in Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. Isaiah Likely's a very good tight end. They have a really good offensive line, and the defense shut them down. It's a team. I know, again, I get it. Mark Andrews probably behind Travis Kelce, best tight end in the league with Kittle. Like, it's those three that we talk about all the time. But, they scored over 30 points 5 games in a row. And this defense was able to shut them down. Brandon Staley, the changes he made and the defense that he called. I thought Dean Leonard played well after a little bit of a hiccup there in the late first, early second quarter. The defense looked connected. The pass rush got home, and the coverage was still, for the most part, sticky. There was a little bit, there were a few plays out there, and, there's a couple things we'll get into, but I think that's kind of what you're talking about, Chris, in terms of the broken record, is we're saying the same thing every week. Man, they're close, and you just need to execute in these particular moments to get wins, and instead they don't execute when they have to execute, and they lose. And that's how you lose 5 of 7, and you're sitting at 4-7.
The theme has been just when one unit is on, the other one is not, right? And,
right.
We can go back to the beginning of the year where, both the defense and the offense, let's say week 1, for example, defense not playing well, offense lighting it up, but late in games, the offense couldn't get that drive to win a game and beat the Dolphins, losing by 2. Tennessee, an offensive breakdown. Last week against Green Bay, before this game against Baltimore, a chance to tie it or win the game. Could not do it. Again, Justin Tucker, who never misses field goals, misses a field goal, gives you a golden opportunity to go down the field, tie the game, or go ahead, and you can't do it. So it's been the defense some weeks. It's been the offense other weeks. There really hasn't been a consistent unit all season long. I guess you could point to the special teams in large stretches, right? Cameron Dicker, I guess, is maybe your most consistent player this year. But that's what's frustrating, Money, is this team is losing close games and they're not connected. And 4-7 is not what anybody expected here as we enter December. And I just wonder, where do you go from here? Like, at this point, after Thanksgiving, you are who you are. You're not able to win close games. You got New England on Sunday. We're not even talking about the playoffs anymore. Where do you go?
Well, I think where you go is you still have this belief, right? You still have this belief because you're in all these games. If we can just make this play, if that ball would have bounced the wrong, if we could have secured the football, if we don't drop the football in Green Bay, if we can get a stop against Miami, on and on. If we can stop Detroit on 4th and 2, like, that's the problem. I think I shouldn't say that's the problem. I think that's how they keep hope alive. Because look, the reality is they can still make the playoffs. They just have to go 6-0, and they're in. They'll be in at 10-7. They'll be in the playoffs. So I think that's maybe that last rope you're hanging on to, is get to New England and get a win. And it's not going to be easy, and we're going to get into that. This is not going to be an easy game to win. I know they only have 2 wins on the season. They're 2-9, but they're in the same boat. They're in all these close games for the most part. I mean, instead of 2-9, they could easily be 6-5, 5-6 if they execute, if New England executes late. They got 1,000,000 one-score games on their resume as well. So I think that's, if you're asking, like, where do you go from here? I think that's where you go. Hey, just get this first win. If we can just get a win in one of these close games, can you get over that hump and try to breed some sort of belief, some sort of winning culture? And, we talked to Chris Hogan, who played those 3 years with the Patriots this week, and asked, what was it like going on the field in the huddle in these tight games that you guys were in? Like, what separates wins from losses? Because he played with a bunch of different teams, 5-6 different teams. And he said, with the Patriots, when you got the ball back, you just knew you were going to win. Like, Tom would just take the team out there and be like, all right, well, they're screwed. If we got the ball, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to go down and score. And he said there was just such this intense focus on doing your job, and you knew that there was a rain of hellfire that was coming. If you didn't do your job, you didn't have to do anything extraordinary. I think that's what's most frustrating, is we're not asking these players that, I should say we, answer to me. What I'm saying, like, the team is not asking the players to be otherworldly, to play beyond the expectations or beyond their ability. They're just asking them to play to their ability and execute when the moments matter most. And they're not. They're just not across the board for the most part. They're not. Keenan Allen dropping 2 passes, leaving 8 points on the field against Green Bay. Austin Ekeler has now got 3 fumbles in his last 5 games, all lost. 2 of them in critical situations, 1 in the red zone, not even in the red zone, inside the 5-yard line. Justin Herbert, the one thing you could not do before halftime was turn the ball over. You are in Cameron Dicker field goal range, get into the half at 10-6 and carry some momentum in there, strip sack. In those late game moments, they're blitzing. He even said, he's like, I know they're green dogging. You can see it. Like, what? That's what's frustrating. You don't need, the team does not need Justin Herbert to escape from 4 pass rushers, take on 2 linebackers, break those tackles, and gain 20 yards. It's just get rid of the football. Just recognize they're going to probably, and it's beyond Justin, right? It's Kellen Moore, it's Keenan, it's the offensive line, it's the tight ends. Like, what's coming. Every team has done this to you in the final 2 minutes. If they haven't been blitzing you all game, they are bringing the house on your final drive, because you've not been able to execute when they do that. And I think to see those same mistakes appear over and over and over again, you just kind of ask yourself, well, when's it going to stop? Like, when are you going to recognize that, like you said, it's Thanksgiving and these same things are still happening?
Brady's a perfect example. I think the juxtaposition to what we're talking about right now, and the standard right now in the NFL, is Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Right. Because
he's a winner.
When it's fourth quarter, it's time to win. And Jalen Hurts wins. And I think that offense is connected. You got vets like Kelsey and Hurts. You got those pass catchers on the outside. It's not just Justin, right? It's a collective lack of offensive execution late in games when you have an opportunity to win games. So that's one side of the puzzle. You're right. This was the defense's best performance of the year.
I'll jump in there real quick, Chris, on the Justin thing, though. Like, all the people that are asking, like, hey, where did that come from in Green Bay when you got upset? Like, if I were Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley, I would say, I want that on every snap. Every snap.
100%.
The players respect you.
100%.
You're one of the best players in the league. You need to be Tom Brady. I mean, you've heard the mic'd up Tom Brady's. You've heard the mic'd up Aaron Rodgers. Like, those guys took 0 0. If you effed up, they were in your face. They were barking at you. They were holding you accountable, and you were being aired out. Now, I'm not saying be a jerk. All I'm saying is I loved it. It's like, hey, Will Clapp, you cannot take a delay a game there. What are you doing? Like, you have got to be in the moment and be focused and execute, because this could have cost us a touchdown. So I do think, and I think we've, and we don't know what he says in the huddle. We have no idea what that sounds like. But I'm just saying, I think moments like that are maybe what just a little kick in the pants, right? And just see, because we don't see that. Let's just see what a kick in the pants looks like. And if that's maybe something that you need to just get a little bit more focused and get over the hump.
Jeff Miller asked Justin at the podium yesterday about late game situations and if he's worried about his reputation. And Justin gave a great answer. Like, hey, it's on me. This is how I could have changed it. And I could have been better in that situation. And that's what a leader does. The thing is, we've seen Justin do this, Bunny. How many game-winning drives
14.
have he called in previous seasons, right?
14.
It's not like it's not like we haven't seen him do this. He did this all the time. This year, and for whatever reason, going back to week 18, Jacksonville, and this season, this team has not had the ability to win close games. And that's all three phases, right? That's not just Justin. That's not just the offense and late game situations. That's the defense putting them in a hole and Justin scoring at will.
Right.
Like, I think 5 straight possessions against Detroit a couple of weeks ago. So, this is something where you see teams start to turn the corner a little bit. Like, we're seeing Denver, who got blown out 70-20 early in the year. It just shows you how long a season can be. The way Sean Payton has managed the game and has put Russ in situations to be successful, relying on the running game, it's evident that right now the Broncos are believing they can win. They were winning games, frankly, that they probably shouldn't have won. They probably shouldn't have won that game.
How about the Steelers?
But they did. The Steelers game.
It's a perfect example.
Money,
No, I mean the Steelers team, Chris. Like, how about the Steelers?
Oh, the Steelers team.
Look at that.
Yeah.
They are 7-4,
thing.
and they've got a minus 26 point differential. Because they know how to win. Mike Tomlin knows how to win. Like, he has never had a losing season. It's incredible, right? 17 years in the league, and he has never once posted a losing season. So I think, like, I got it pulled up here. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Kansas City, I believe, was in the final 8 or so minutes. That's 4. Dallas 5. Tennessee 6, Miami 7. All 7 of their losses, all 7. And let me just make sure, because Kansas City is the one I'm not quite sure about. So let me go to play-by-play. My apologies to those that are listening. Yeah, so
it was a 14-point deficit. They lost by 14, right?
Yeah, so here you go.
Hardman, punt return.
So if we go inside of 7 minutes, okay, because it's 6:16 of the fourth quarter, inside of 7 minutes, the offense has had the ball. And I would say I'm just doing 7 minutes so I can include the Chiefs game and include every single loss. They have had the ball with an opportunity to tie or win in the fourth quarter. Inside, and the Chiefs game is an outlier. I bet if I took the Chiefs game off the board, I could probably go inside of 4 minutes that the offense has had the ball with a chance to tie or win. And you got Justin Herbert as your quarterback, and you got Keenan Allen, who's in the conversation as the best receiver in the NFL this season. And they just can't do it. Like, that's what's crazy to me. When I look at the 4 and 7, I look at those 7 losses and I think Green Bay, the Q drop, Detroit, the 4th and 2 for, if I just go to play-by-play here, the Chargers in that game are down. So they score a touchdown to tie it at 38, and then they never got it back. So that's not a fair one. So let's take that one off the board. But outside of that, all of these games, Chris, Tennessee in overtime, a 3 and out, and they could have scored a touchdown and had to settle for a field goal late there. Remember the Kansas City game we just mentioned, they get a 3 and out when it's 24-17 in the fourth quarter. The Dallas game, they had the ball in the final 5 minutes without down 20-17, and they've got the ball with 2:19 left, and Herbert threw an interception, and it's like the opportunities are there. They just got to execute. That's what's crushing them, is they are not executing. We know they had the ball at the end of the Miami game. Fangio blitzed 4 times, got nothing going. They had the ball, obviously, to start overtime against Tennessee, 3 and out, lose that game, and it's execution. I think that's why I'm belaboring the point, is I think that's why it's so frustrating, right? Because it's not players, it's not talent, it's play calling, it's executing, it's a little bit of defensive scheme in there. Like, all of those things are contributing to holding this team back and being 4 and 7 instead of 7 and 4.
And Money, it's cliche, but it's belief.
100%.
And I saw something that Russell Wilson said when they were like 1-3, 1-4. It's like, we still believe, and that's it's Russ, and it's very
cheesy,
cliche, but it's true. And you sometimes you have to see yourself win close games to know that you can do it. And the Pittsburgh Steelers example is perfect because they've been outgained in every game, except for the one where they just fired their offensive coordinator.
Finally got over 400 yards.
And they play for Kenny Pickett.
Right.
They know what they are defensively, and they know how to win games. So they've seen it, even though it's like, hey, we maybe we were outplayed, but we won the game. So we haven't seen that this year at all. And I think that's what's so frustrating, is because, we talk about how talented this team is. I think that as we get into December and January, there's going to be a lot of questions surrounding this team and how you have to continue to remake it in an effort to make Justin Herbert the best version of himself. And let's go back to the fourth quarter of that game. I know Quentin hurt his ribs, didn't come back in the game. Justin is also throwing to Alex Erickson and Jalen Guyton.
I got no problem with that.
Money drive.
I'll be honest, Chris. I saw Alex Erickson come out. I was like, great. He's made 2 huge catches in back-to-back games. Huge catch on third down. Got a drive starter going on first down against Baltimore. He's sure-handed. I like seeing him out there. I got no problem with that at all. I do want to say this, and this is going to sound incredibly petty and very, I'm looking at it through powder blue glasses, but it's the truth. This is now 2 games in a row. And it was okay against Green Bay because Justin was able to the Chargers were able to overcome it and get a touchdown to Keenan. But Stone Smart gets absolutely destroyed in the end zone. Helmet-to-helmet contact. He gets decleated, and there is no flag thrown. And instead of being first and goal from like the 3, I think it was third and goal from whatever, the third and goal from the 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
That they did not throw a flag on that opening drive when Herbert is 2 steps out of bounds, and
that was insanity.
It is a 2-hand shove in his back into the bench area where there's equipment and there's guys standing, and Allen Eck does not, his crew does not throw a flag there, is beyond me. And so you would have had worst case, there is no worst case because Jamari reacted exactly how you're supposed to react when you're an offensive lineman, and that's you're going to clean house on the guy that shoved your quarterback out of bounds and put him in danger of getting hurt because he's skidding toward a Gatorade jug and the Microsoft Surface, little container. And it's bad enough that you don't throw the flag, but even though Jamari is in there shoving guys around, and this is where I have campaigned for this relentlessly, and I have campaigned for it, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I feel like I was one of the first guys that talked about robot umps in baseball. I said, you can't have this stuff on the screen for the people at home to see immediately. Within 3 to 5 seconds, they already know what the answer to the question is. And it's just like baseball. You can't put that grid for a strike zone on the screen and have an umpire calling balls and strikes that aren't balls and strikes. It just doesn't work. It doesn't connect for the experience, for the fan, and for the players, and for legislating the game. That's not a strike, it's a ball. That's not a ball, it's a strike. It's right here in front of us. We can see it. You can't because the human eye isn't as accurate as the technology we now have available. That crew is asked to make those decisions in real time with all those bodies flying over the place when you've got 2 sets of eyes in this replay booth that can see it. And before they pull that flag out of their pocket and call 15 yards on Jamari, somebody should have been in their ear, but they're not allowed to be because it's not a reviewable play, should be in there and say, hey, don't throw the flag on Sawyer. But we should have thrown the flag. He's protecting his quarterback. Tell everybody next time this happens, flag's getting thrown. Cooler heads prevail. Let's separate everybody, and that's it. You guys blew it. You blew the call. It should be first and goal, but you blew it. You absolutely blew it. So now it's 3rd and 3. And instead, it ends up being 3rd and 19, and they have to kick a field goal. Like, you score a touchdown on the opening drive against the number 1 defense in the league, and you are now making a statement. You're going back to your sideline feeling great. And look, it's petty. I get it. It's petty, but at the same time, I think that changes the nature of the game, the complexion of the game. You score that opening touchdown. You set the tone moving forward. I'm not blaming the officials. There's so many other things that went wrong in that game. Obviously, a fumble by Keenan, a fumble by Ekeler, a fumble by, Herbert. You can't lose the turnover battle. I'm not going to count the Hail Mary 3-0 and expect to beat the number one team in the conference. But just think, I'm sure fans were thinking the same thing, like, man, that would have certainly set a different tone for the remainder of the game if you drive down the field and shove it down their throats to go up 7-0 at the kick.
It was so egregious. It was almost laughable. You go from what should have been a touchdown on the first drive to Jamari getting the 15-yard penalty. And the refs have had some issues the past couple of weeks, Bunny. I go back to Monday Night Football. Did you see the guy he took his helmet off because his face mask was off?
Was broken. He got hit. Well, he got hit in the head. He got absolutely cleaned out by a player. Who was it? It was the kid from Bosco, or Kyler Gordon from Washington. Yeah, he got cleaned out by a Viking, and he's like, dude, helmet's broke.
Called for taunting. For taunting.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Anyway, that's not why they lost, but I'm glad you brought it up because it was so ridiculous in real time that it needed to be said. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll talk about the Patriots. All right, guys, a big thank you to our partner, Microsoft Surface, the official sideline technology provider and laptop of the NFL and the Los Angeles Chargers that provides players and coaches with the tools to succeed both on and off the field. Check out the powerful Surface Pro 9, combining the power of a laptop with the flexibility of a tablet at surface.com. VIP ticket packages for the first ever Super Bowl in Las Vegas are now on sale, and only On Location offers all-inclusive experiences worthy of the entertainment capital of the world. Ticket packages boast an array of offerings, such as premium seating to the game, epic pregame parties with headline talent, NFL legend appearances, premium drinks and fare, and much more. Visit NFLOnLocation.com or search NFL On Location today. Your football experience of a lifetime awaits, only with On Location. Having some connection issues here at the Hayre household. That's why you see me on a different screen. Doing this from my phone right now, Money, but we're going to get it done.
All good.
By any means necessary. Patriots on
You're
deck.
a gamer, Chris.
Sunday.
You're a gamer.
I'm a gamer, dude.
Sometimes you got to get gritty. Sometimes
you
got to dig deep.
I'm digging deep. I'm looking on the screen right now, and they're showing Bailey Zappe highlights against the Giants. That's the big mystery now. It looks like Mac has been relegated to scout team duty. So it's Malik Cunningham and Bailey Zappe, who I think the Chargers really need to be prepared for. That offense has been a mess all year, but the defense, hey, they've held them the last 2 weeks. I think they held the Colts to 10 points, the Giants to 10 points, and they still lose the games.
That's exactly right. It's like we said, it's going to be tougher than you think. This defense is still and I'm pulling it up right now, it's still a Bill Belichick coordinated defense. Losing Judon was huge, but at the same, so here's what I would say. This is, if we're going to kind of, okay, how do they get out of here with a win? They have to stop Christian Barmore. He is a freaking load. I mean, a load. You just go back and watch the game against Washington, and freaking Sam Howell had that 320 pounds in his lap every single game.
Yeah.
So we know there's no Corey Linsley. We know that the interior of the line has taken a little bit of a step back compared to what we thought it was going to look like this season with Zion and Jamari in there. They've allowed quite a few pressures, a handful of sacks, and that's going to have to be stout because Dietrich Wise is still great. Juwan Bentley's been, kind of piling up quite a few pressures off the edge as well from the linebacker spot. But to me, it all starts with Barmore. You have got to be solid on the interior of the line, or you're talking about having a guy in your lap from the snap. So, the good thing there is the last few weeks, as I try to pull this up, because I've got a lot of my prep done, so I know I've got it down here. So Justin Herbert, the last 2 weeks, has rushed 12 times for 120 yards. So he's using his legs more. He's probably going to have to use them against this team because Barmore's really sort of the straw that stirs the drink. And it's a good defense. You said, they give up 10 and lose. They give up 10 and lose. They give up 20 and lose, 21 and lose. So like that, I get why they went to Zappe. Mac Jones, of his 12 interceptions, probably 8 of them were really bad, like really bad throws. So, you have a defense that's this good. can't be turning the ball over like that. You know, a handful of them, 3 or 4 of them are in the red zone when you can at least get 3 and maybe, maybe 7. So at the same time, Bailey Zappe's 2 interceptions are brutal. They are did not see, did not read, and threw a ball right to a defender. So I think they're very similar players. Get pressure, and we know the Chargers have been getting pressure. Thule's been getting pressures. Obviously, Khalil Mack's been one of the best edge rushers in the league. So to me, that's what it comes down to, Chris, is create turnovers. We said it about the Baltimore game, right? We went through those 3 losses they had. It was all a pick 6. It was forced fumbles and turnovers. The Chargers got none. None. They've been shut out these last couple weeks. They got to create turnovers. The Patriots will give them to you, and you got to have an answer for number 90.
Yeah, the defense is going to have to show up against Zappe or Cunningham. It looks like Mac's confidence is completely shot at this point. It's just been an absolutely brutal year for him. Zappe isn't much different, frankly. I guess Malik Cunningham is the guy that if they do put him in the game, and then really just the running game too, it's stopping Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott. That's probably going to be what they rely upon, is trying to chew the clock, keeping that offense on the field and doing what they can to score points, which they have not been able to do. And you hope the Chargers defense, based on what they did against the Baltimore Ravens last week, can build on that success. Still not going to be an easy game. We got a J.C. Jackson reunion situation.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't throw an interception to J.C. Jackson, please.
I was looking at Mike Reese. He was kind of emptying out his notebook from the Giants game. He said that J.C. had a rough time with Jalen Hyatt, and maybe it's an opportunity for Keenan to get loose. And they've seen each other in practice, for the last couple of years. So maybe that's something they could exploit.
Hey, if he had a problem with the speed of Hyatt, let's give him a little Darius Davis. Let's give him a little Jalen Guyton. Let's get a little. I'd like to see Darius get involved more instead of just these throws at the line of scrimmage. Cut him loose, man. Put him in motion. Let him fly up the field. See if we can take the top off the defense and have, remind us of DeAndre Carter last year. See if we can get a couple more of those throws out there on the field.
Yeah. Hunter Henry, too. We got a Hunter Henry reunion game. He was, he was such a prize free agent for them. Money didn't have a target in last Sunday's game against the Giants, too. And that's just an indictment, I think, on the offense in general, how poorly they've played, where you can't even get a target to Hunter Henry. So I expect that to change as well.
Yeah, it was one of those things we were hopeful of at the trade deadline, right? There might be a reunion there if they were kind of cleaning house with the Patriots, but unfortunately they decided not to because, man, he sure would have looked good back in powder blue, that's for sure. But, hey, tip of the cap to Gerald Everett, not taking anything away from him. That was a hell of a touchdown last week against Baltimore, just pulling the old I said it was the Shaq of the Mac, Gary Trent, an undersized power forward that got the ball at the 2-yard line and just backed his guy all the way down into the block and scored that touchdown. Everett's been great, but, Henry was just one of those guys that there was a trust thing there between Herbert and Hunter, especially in the red zone, that, that chemistry sometimes is just hard to find. He's a good player. He's a very good player. And like you said, for whatever reason, they haven't been able to use him. I'm looking at Zappe, by the way. It's not like there's a lot to work off of. He had the one game, his first start last year, where he threw for 300 yards. This year, he's played in 4 games. Obviously, it's spot duty. He's not getting everything to himself, but guy's completing 48% of his passes for no touchdowns and 2 picks. So the defense, hopefully, will build on what we saw. They were much more connected against Baltimore. We talked about it. I thought Dean played very well. He had a rough stretch, had a little window where it got a little rough. He kept giving up inside leverage, and it was just weird. It's like that's where Lamar wants to throw the ball. He doesn't like throwing it outside the numbers. Why do you keep pushing these guys inside on these slants? And they were just cooking him on that touchdown drive. But after that, he adjusted. I thought he played really well. So hopefully they can pick up on that side of the ball where they left off. Offense has got to take care of the football. You cannot turn the ball over like you did. And I count those drops as turnovers. The drop by Donald Parham was a turnover. Obviously, the fumble by Austin was a turnover. The drop by Quentin Johnston was a turnover. You gotta clean that stuff up. And this should be, get to 5-7, come home against the Broncos and feel like, all right, we now know what it feels like to get a win. And let's see if, in fact, we can cash this thing in and make a run.
The mental errors, really the only thing I could see that would stop the Chargers from winning this game. I was listening to Bill Simmons and Cousin Sal. I guess Belichick has won 10 of his last 11 against the Chargers. And,
Yeah.
we've seen Justin's 2 starts against New England, and they haven't been very pretty.
No bueno.
No. So, again, no mistakes, no interceptions, no fumbles, and take advantage of your opportunities in the red zone. And if you do that, I don't see any way a Justin Herbert-led offense can lose to this Patriots team with Zappe or Cunningham under center.
And more of the can we get more of the 3rd and 17, Keenan underneath route, catch in stride, lateral to Austin Ekeler for 18 yards?
That was fun, no? We should have talked about that earlier. That was fun.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. We talked to Coach Peterson on Petros and Money this week, and I brought it up to him. I was like, hey, Coach, tell me if this play sounds familiar. And I laid it out. He's like, oh, I love it. Kellen's still having fun playing football. It's what it's all about. And Coach Pete is right, man. Football should be fun. And when you dial that thing up and you execute it, you see a little pep in the step from your players. Like, hey, we just got them. We just stung them with a pretty cool play. And so I'd like to see a little bit more of that. A little more Boise State in this offense from Kellen Moore.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey, guys, we know it's been a tough season. We always appreciate you watching and listening every single week. We try to bring you the best analysis and insight as possible, even when it's not pretty, and it hasn't been pretty, but, this is a team that we know has too much talent to be 4-7, and maybe December could be their month money, no?
Hey, decided to mix it up a little bit this week. Let's see if it pays off. Let's see if we can get a little different result than losing 5 of their last 7 and 3 in a row.
Yeah, if they win Sunday, maybe I'll just do the entire podcast from
the phone. There you go. Exactly.
From here on out.
Exactly.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. For Money, I'm Chris. This has been Chargers Week.